Hello, I'm Janna, and welcome back to the Crafty Corner. This is part 2 of the April Showers Bring May Flowers tag swap. Today we're going to be making some cards featuring some of the lovely crafty components that I was sent. All right, let's head over to the Crafty Corner. Today we're going to be creating a few cards using a selection of items from the spring tag themed swap that I participated in earlier in the month. And we've got all sorts of different elements here that I have pulled from that swap to try to make something out of. So let's take a look at the items that we have, and I'm going to start grouping them into piles and trying to form some ideas of what we could create with all of these elements. Of course, we're going to be throwing in lots of Tim Holtz, definitely from Ideology, and of course we'll need to bust out the inky sprays, probably the crayons, and maybe even some watercolor pencils to embellish and create backgrounds and or ephemera pieces. So let's go ahead and start dividing this up, and then we'll kind of have an idea of what types of cards we're going to be making. Okay, so I definitely know that this bird is one of the items that I really want to make a card out of, so we'll start there with that. I really like this piece as well. You know, that could look really nice paired together, so let's put those in a category. I do know I want to do something with this really interesting paper, so we can put that in another set. Ooh, maybe we could do the flowers with that. We could make something interesting. And we've got these really cool fence pieces. So right there, that's like a whole nother idea. So if we put that there, oh, maybe the frame could go with this one. Let's see here. I really love these as well. So kind of thinking that might go into the pile with the bird stuff. All right, let's just make sure everything's in frame so we can see what we are doing. Okay. So I love this, but not really sure. Well, I don't know, maybe I just want the flower off of that, so let's just pull it apart. Oh, Brad? No, that's hot glue. Kind of just going for a floral thing right now, so we can put those in a category. Those are going to go with the birds. I've also got this great base piece. Let's put that with the fence. Ooh, and with the fence, I don't know, I've got this giant butterfly, which is really awesome. Oh, you know what? That could go over here. There's like some other little pieces. Let's see what we have over here. So I'm feeling pretty good about this pile. That pile is pretty much shaped up. Now I just want to add a couple of little things to this fence section. Let's see here. All right, oh, those I was thinking about turning into earrings. Ladybugs, I'm not sure. Oh, let's see. Got some interesting bits and pieces right here. So the butterfly is really cool, but there's no way I'm going to end up with that on a card. That would just be too chunky. Same with these pieces, so I'll put those back. Those are definitely not on the table right now. That could be more of a junk journal type of thing. All right, so maybe I could do one of the birds. I like the birds. So let's put that one there. I'm kind of getting a blue-green theme going. That's interesting. And maybe that. Yeah, I think we've got an idea. Oh, and then I've got some other little flowers that we could add as well. Okay. Get rid of those birds for now. Alright, so I've also got these other little flowers here. I want to add those. Now, how are... Okay, kind of stickied. So these are cool. Okay, so I have got some ideas. Now we need to find our Tim Holtz elements and pull everything together. So let's start with the butterfly and the flowers. I think that was really fun. and we'll save the fence for last. In the meantime, I can just clear the table of all these extra pieces. Ooh, I've got more flowers. Cool. I'm not sure what I'll do with those, but I've got ideas. So I'll just set that aside for the moment. Okay, so the main thing that I really need to do is get some paper, and we've got so many different choices for papers to use. So I think that has to be the first thing that we do. Let's check my background stash first and see if we have something that could work. I've got lots of different things, but the question is finding the right thing. Ooh, that's a possibility. I like that. Interesting. No, too bright. Oh, that's got good possibilities, like that. Okay. Takes care of a couple. What if I have another background that could work? I really need something else with blue, or like gray and blue. I kind of want to do something with an embossing folder now. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, I think that could work. And I'll definitely need to pull in some other ephemera pieces. All right, so I'm going to set that aside for the moment. Let's see what we've got here. So I want the wood green to become the base, and we'll use this as a landing zone. Let's see, I'm going to need a pencil so I can start chopping this to size. Let's see here, about there and about here. So of course we're going to need the tonic trimmer. There we go. Can easily cut that right down to size. And now we need the ATG. So I really like the papers that were sent in the swap. They've got some really interesting textures and some different colors that I typically wouldn't use. So this is fun, stepping outside the comfort zone and playing with materials that aren't really in my typical crafty style. I like the challenge, and today we're trying to use as many elements of the crafty swap to create some cards. But of course we have to supplement with all of my favorite Tim Holtz products. Okay, so let's see here. Now we're just going to kind of build like that. The butterfly is definitely the main focal point here. Let's see here. Ooh. This is very, very pretty. I do like all the flowers. So just kind of figuring out where everything's going to end up. Haven't really decided yet, but we're just kind of playing and trying to figure things out as we go along. All right, for some reason those little pieces are just a hair bigger, so let's put that there. And then this could go over here. I really love these flowers. These are so fun. Now I really want to go through my scrap bin and make lots and lots of flowers. That'd be fun. And I've got definitely some pretty interesting beads. I used to do a lot of jewelry work, so I've got tons of beads around that we could play with. Okay, and then maybe I can tuck the little ones in and around. That's interesting. There we go. Yeah. Okay. I think I like that quite a bit. And then I could tuck a few other pieces of ideology. Let's see here. Well, I've got like a whole bin of pieces right here. So I've been wanting to dig into this and use up elements. So I'm not quite sure what's going where yet, but we're working on it. So many different bits and pieces to play with. And this is what I love about mixed media. You never know what you're going to end up with, and I think it's fun doing all those builds. Ooh, let's see here. I like that little piece. Okay. So many elements. So I have a bin on my craft table where I just save random bits and pieces from projects, and I just kind of tuck everything into one spot, and eventually I get to use all of it. Okay. All right, I think I've got an idea. So I'm just kind of move everything off. And now we'll need our collage medium, and we can put this all together. The last thing I'll need will be a sentiment, and I'll have to grab something, probably out of the sticker book. So we're just going to add bits and pieces here and there and see how it goes. This one is definitely going to be very collagey, and I'm not sure what I'll do with the others yet, but I thought for the first one, collage is one of my go-tos when creating, so why not? Okay, we've got that really cool gold frame. It looks like some sort of chipboard here. Okay, and now let's get the flowers in. So I really don't have to do too much to these. They're already pretty cool. So I just need to add them in, and they're going to do all the work for me just by using all of these different colors to work in my favor. All right, super pretty. And now I can stick the little flowers into. Okay. Pretty good, liking that. Got a nice little buildup going on here. Then the last thing will be the butterfly. So let's add some glue here and there. So I'm just carefully trying to wiggle that in. I'd rather not have to do any trimming after the fact. All right. Pretty good. And then this one goes here. All right. So all in all, not too bad. I like what we've got going with all the florals here. It's very pretty. Just going to turn that a little bit so everything lines up. All right. There we go. Now I'm very happy with that. So, pretty much got that first card done really, really easily. Now the last thing that I need to do is add a sentiment. I'm really torn. I kind of want to do something big and chunky, but at the same time, something small could be good as well. I'm not quite sure what we're doing yet, but let me take a look and see what we've got for options. So we've got some small pieces that we could use. I do like these, but those seem a little bit too big for what I'm going for. I think I've got some chipboard quotes we could take a look at. I'm not sure if I got anything that's going to really fit the theme, but we can look. Oh, I like that one. Could just put that right here. But I'm going to have to make that a little smaller because it's going to be way too thick with all the extra chipboard. So I'm just going to peel off a layer or two. There we go. And I do want to ink that. That's a little too plain. So I'll just go around the edges with a bit of distress ink. Pretty good. All right. And that can go right here. Okay. So not bad. We've got a butterfly card with some beautiful flowers added. Very shiny. Not my usual vibe, but I'm definitely enjoying mixing it up. This is very interesting. Now, the only question is, do I need another flower? I'm thinking yes. Why not? I can add one more right over here. Okay. Now, I would call that card done. Now, let's take a look at that hummingbird next. I thought that hummingbird was super pretty, and I've already got an idea of what I want to do. I want to do something layered over the top. I've got some really interesting mixed media dies. Oh, if I got the Harlequin pattern, then that's going to be perfect. So I want to die cut some pieces out of some distressed white heavy stock, and we'll see if we can't do a little bit of an overlay. And then we can layer up our beautiful bird. All right, back in just a moment after. So here are the die cut pieces, and I did have the Harlequin pattern. This is from the Tim Holtz Mixed Media Sizzix set. This is Mixed Media #1. So we got a whole bunch of really cool patterns, and that one I thought would fit this card perfectly. So I added some double-sided sticky tape to the back of this to make putting this together a bit easier. So I'll just go ahead and peel that off and stick this down. So just peeling those pieces off. That actually die cut a little bit funny. I was expecting that to come off in one sheet, but it didn't quite do that. All right, well, I'll take this. That's going to go into the upper left corner. Okay, if I need to trim, that will be fine. And let's take that second piece. Wonder if that's going to come off in one shot. Nope. Interesting. Wonder what about the die cutting just decided to completely cut that out. Huh. Okay. There we go. All set. And we'll flip that one upside down. And we'll put that one in the bottom right-hand corner. Good. All right, I'm just going to get rid of those scrap pieces, and then we can layer this up and add the hummingbird. So the first thing I wanted to do was add this section, and I'm thinking that I do want to pop that up a little bit. We're going to use some foam squares, but I also want to put this over the top. Yeah, we should be okay. These are the low profile foam squares. Okay, so let's go ahead, peel that off. Alright, so that's all lined up. I'm just going to flip this over and see if I need to do any trimming. And just a teeny tiny bit, so that's not bad. Just kind of snip that off. Okay, now I want to take our trim. We're going to add that right down here. Decided to go with some ATG tape. It's going to be interesting trying to run that across the textured piece, but I think we're going to be okay. All right. Good. All right, I'm liking that quite a bit. And now we've got the bird, and I do want to pop that up with some thicker foam. Okay. So we'll take that and place that right here. Now I'm not done yet. I do want to add a bit more bling to this. Now these are super, super cool, but they're a little bit too shiny, so we're going to need some distress crayon. I'm thinking a dash of black soot. We'll grunge that just enough. But these are really neat. So I'll just take one of these. Oh, nice, and they're already pre-stickied. That can go right here. And then just a little bit of distress crayon to give that a bit of grunge and a teeny tiny drop of water. Just gonna take my finger, smush that around. There we go. Ooh. Liking that. And we'll just brush off a little bit. Don't need all that. Okay, perfect. That came out really well. I like that. And the last thing that I want to do before we add our sentiment is go in with a few droplets. And I wanted to use some of the really tiny ones. I don't always get a chance to use the really small ones. I kind of forget, and then they end up at the bottom of the box. But for this card, the small ones would be perfect. Let's see. I think I'm going to go for maybe 7. So I've already got 3. 4, 5, 6, 1 more, 7. Now we'll just go in with a little bit of glue. These are droplets from Tim Holtz Ideology, some of my favorites. And these have been previously found in the Tim Holtz Ideology Christmas line. I can't remember if they're discontinued or not, but Simon Says Stamp does have them. So I do love to stock up on these. They are super fun and add just a little bit of bling to a project. So just dropping those down. Pretty good. All right, Now I just need a sentiment. Not really sure I have anything just right. Might need a label sticker. Oh, you know what? I actually like that one. That works. And we're going to peel that. And we can take this and glue it down. Very good. And we have another card. We've been able to mix and match some of the swap elements I got from my wonderful partners and lots of Tim Holtz goodies. I do love a challenge trying to bring two completely different styles together to create something that is definitely in my style. All right, we'll go ahead, set this aside, and let's grab our next set of embellishments and see what we can do. So I've got a really cool alcohol ink background, and I really did like this piece. Ooh, that'll look great. Really good like that. And then we've got these interesting gate pieces. So let's see, I kind of want to break these apart and put the gate near the bottom. I'll probably have to slice these. Okay, I'll need to cut that. That's fine. Oh, how do I want to do that? Probably like this. That'll work. And I will salvage the flowers. There, I'm going to re-glue them. All right, where do I need to cut? There. And we'll just snip and snip. Now, these gates are interesting. They're actually made out of foam. I'm wondering if they were die cut and then stacked, because it's a really interesting die. Given that this is heavier, I'm going to glue it to our alcohol ink background instead of using the ATG tape. It's a bit heavier than I would normally put on a card, so it's going to need a little bit of extra help to stay put. Okay, so we have that. It's a great base. And now we're going to want our gate pieces. And more collage medium. It can go right on the back. And now this one. Good. Yeah, I'm really liking that. And we'll glue back those flowers. Not bad. And I wanted to add in our bird. That bird seems a little big for this. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with this. I could definitely get a branch and then put the bird on the branch. Or maybe we just die cut a sentiment, put that on here. I don't know. There are a few choices for this. So the bird isn't really going to work. It's definitely too big for this card, just scale-wise. Love it, but it's not going to work this time. So I did find a beautiful butterfly that we can use, and that's going to end up being our main focal point. And I think it still works with the flowers and the fence, so that's good. And we'll finish this off with a sentiment, and I think just a simple hello works. The question is where to put it. I'm thinking right across the middle of the fence. Works pretty well. Okay, definitely on the simpler side of cards that I've made, but I think the alcohol ink background is the showstopper here. It's very pretty and it makes the rest of this come together. So there we go. Today we've been creating with a whole bunch of craft supplies from the swap that I recently participated in, using elements that typically are pretty far out of my comfort zone. It was exciting to try some new things and get a chance to play around with new to me die cuts and elements. So let's take a look at what we have worked on today. We had some floral fun with these beautiful handmade flowers and this gorgeous butterfly. For Tim Holtz items, we used a wood grain background. This was inked and resisted, and then I added in some Tim Holtz layers and ideology chipboard. So that was really fun. I like how that came together. Over here, we've got a Tim Holtz alcohol inked background paired with a label sticker and a die cut butterfly. And then for our surprising elements, we use these lovely resin flowers, this really cool foam die cut fence, and this chipboard piece that came in one of my tag packets. So that was fun. Definitely more random elements, but I think they all work really well together. And then we have the beautiful hummingbird. I love the hummingbird. It is so, so pretty. We were able to pair that with some lovely ribbon that came with my swap and this really cool wax seal. Now for Tim Holtz elements, we started with a distress spray stain background. We die cut over the top using some die cuts from Mixed Media 1 by Sizzix. We added a chipboard quote and we grunged up the wax seal with some distress crayon so it wasn't too shiny, and we finished off with some lovely holiday droplets from Ideology. Thank you so much for joining me here today at the Crafty Corner for some mixed media creative fun. And until next time, happy crafting!